Hello, Facebook friends. It's Carla, your online doctor, with today's Live in 5. Today is Friday, December 27th. It is 5:03 p.m. and I don't know about you, but I'm happy it is Friday. Anyway, we started talking yesterday about wine. It's 5 o'clock. It may just be time for wine. Anyway, so we discussed the health benefits yesterday about wine, and I said we were going to talk about additives that are allowed to be in your wine with not being on the label. How is that possible? It even comes from out of the country. It's not just an FDA thing. So they are allowed to add things to your wine, and they don't have to disclose it on the label. Personally, I find that very annoying. Very similar to what I talked about when I talked about orange juice, that kind of thing. All right. So the only thing that they have to disclose is added sulfites. Now, there are about 150 plus other things that don't need to be disclosed. Okay, that's a big list, right? So what might be lurking in your wine that you didn't even know was in there? Number one, pesticides and fungicides. Okay, this is a big thing. To maximize profits, many producers irrigate their vineyards. Hello, Mom. They irrigate their vineyards so that they can grow more grapes in a close amount of space, in close quarters. Okay, but with more water comes the risk of mold and mildew, right? And pest issues. Bugs, right? So these vineyards often spray their crop with a lot of pesticides and fungicides to keep all of that stuff at bay so that they can maintain their crop. In 2010, about 25 million pounds of pesticides were applied to conventionally grown wine grapes in California alone. I love you too, Mom. In 2016, a study tested 10 California wines for Roundup, for glyphosate, okay? All tested positive. In France, vineyards account for 80% of fungicides used on agricultural land, even though the percentage of the land that's used in the agricultural world for grapes, I think it was 3%, if I remember correctly. The alternatives to this is what's called dry farming, relying solely on rainfall rather than irrigation. Now, the grapes are less vulnerable to mold and mildew, and a bonus, they actually develop deeper roots to tap into water supplies that are naturally there, giving the grapes actually a more robust flavor due to actually digging deep into the soil. Okay, so we all know about pesticides and fungicides. Your option there is obviously organic. We're going to talk about that. So number 2 is mega purple or ultra red. Sounds like a funky concert or something. But winemakers know consumers seek vibrant colored foods and wines since it indicates the high level of antioxidants in the product. This is why they add super concentrated grape juice syrup to their wine to intensify the color, especially of red wine, and to make it sweeter. Basically, they're adding high fructose corn syrup to your wine. That's not what I want. Okay, that's why I stopped drinking even organic conventional orange juice, and we buy organic oranges or mandarins and we juice our own. This way we don't have all of that. And yes, the flavor is going to vary from batch to batch, and I'm okay with that. So same thing is going to apply to wine. Number 3, fining and defoaming agents. Now, fining agents are used to remove proteins. They can include egg whites, milk products such as casein, fish bladders, okay, that made me nauseous, and gelatins. Okay, who knew these things were in your wine? Now, if you are vegan or you have dietary restrictions, or you just don't want, like maybe you're lactose intolerant and you don't want to have milk products at all, they're in your wine. Just saying. Okay, now defoaming agents such as polyoxyethylene 40 monostearate, just sounds bad, right? Silicon dioxide and others They're used actually to speed up the wine making process. What happens when wine is made is foam can a layer of foam can be created on the top of the wine. And in order to move on to the next step, the foam has to be gone. So if you add a defoaming agent, it makes it go away really fast. If they wait for Mother Nature and they wait for it to happen naturally, they're going to lose days in the process, and it's going to cut into their profits. So that's why those things are added. Number 4, sulfites. Sulfites, wine contains naturally occurring sulfites just from the grapes themselves, but more are added as preservatives. Okay, allergies to sulfites are rare, but they do occur. But 1% of the population does have a sensitivity to sulfites. It doesn't necessarily mean you're allergic, but you don't feel good when you have sulfites. I am in that category. Interestingly, I always thought it was the sulfites alone in red wine that gave me headaches. And I've come to learn it possibly isn't. Now, red wine gets some of its color by soaking the skins of the grapes for a long time, which creates histamine. Okay, the headaches that I get are partly due to histamine, okay, from the skins of the grapes. Okay, and lastly that I'm going to talk about is mycotoxins. Now, 23% of wines tested from 13 countries contained mycotoxins. These are metabolites of mold. Now, they aren't added to your wine intentionally, but they're also not tested for and can have serious adverse effects on your health if they're in your wine. So not only are you concerned about what they're adding, it's what they're not testing for and not testing for. Most companies don't want the expense of testing for things that like pesticides and mycotoxins because it's going to, again, cut into their profit margin. Hello, Laura. So what wine can you drink if you would still continue to want the benefits of wine but don't want all that stuff? So what do you look for? Number 1, you need to buy organic wine. Flat out. It's the only one that's going to guarantee that you don't have pesticides and fungicides in your wine. Number 2, look for dry farmed wine. Now, I found one called Dry Farm Wines. Unfortunately for me, it's a monthly subscription, 6 bottles minimum. I don't drink that much wine. Now, if you like wine, you can tailor your order through them. But I'm sure there are other companies that do dry farm wining. You can also look for biodynamic wine companies that are looking to be stewards of the land. They want to make sure that they are being sustainable and they are serving the land and making sure they're giving you a good product but not hurting the land in the process. Number 3, you want a company that tests for mycotoxins and pesticide residue. Plain straight out. So either it says it on the bottle or you go to their website and you find it. Number 4, no added sugar, coloring, foaming, or defoaming or fining agents. Again, you have to do your research to find this stuff. Like I said, the one company, Dry Farm Wines, is one. But I've been to a local wine store right in Aventura, and it's called Total Wine. I'm sure you have them around your area or something similar. And they have a slew of organic wines. So you go in there, you find somebody who is familiar with the wines, and you talk to them. These people that work in the store are not going to bite you. They're going to actually help you, and they're going to help you find a product that you want that's going to give you all the things you want and none of the things you don't. Hello, Angela. So on that note, that is my gift to you for the holidays. If you like wine, or if, again, this is back to the talk we did on orange juice, you need to make sure that you are really knowing what's in your product. So there you have it. We got one more talk for this year, which will be on Monday. And then we get into 2020. So I hope you guys have a lot of fun stuff planned for this last weekend of this decade, 2019. And I will be back on Monday for another Live in 5.